I passed out in my clothes and then I woke up in a gown. I don't remember anything. But that
Wow.
was from everything that I was doing at the time. I was partying, but it's like they say, it's like partying the pain away. That pain kind of never goes away. That's how I was dealing with it at the time instead of being suicidal.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions, many millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We certainly don't talk about it enough. And when we do talk about it, many of us, we're not very good at it. So one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations and hopefully better conversations with survivors in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to talk, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. Our email is hello@suicidenoted.com. And you will see a link in the show notes and the podcast description that will allow you to support this podcast. It is tax deductible, which I've been trying to get for a while. It's here. That page, when you click on it, needs a little more tweaking, but it is up and it is live, and we would appreciate your support for several things that we're working on, but the most notable right now and upcoming is the national tour. We should be hitting around 20 cities and communities for at least October and perhaps into November. There's still a lot to sort out, but I would absolutely love your support with that if you can, or perhaps if you know somebody who can, you can share that link with them. You will be seeing us posting a lot more about this on social media in the coming days and weeks. And hey, if you want to get involved in some way, shoot me a message. I'd love to get you involved. However you support this podcast and this work, I really appreciate it. So thank you. There are polls coming out twice a week on Spotify. So if you listen there, check it out. And you can go back and answer old polls. They're still around till at least the end of the year. So I'd love to know how you think or how you feel about some of these questions. Now, finally, we're talking about suicide on this podcast. My guests and I, we don't hold back. So please take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there's so much to learn. Today I am talking with Michael. Michael lives in Arizona and he is a suicide attempt survivor. Hey, Michael.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. So you know of me through a recent guest named Andrew. How do you guys know each other?
We met through work. It was like, I thought I was the only one that had big plugs. I come in like twice the size of his.
Okay. And he sent you his episode? You heard it?
He sent me his because I'm, obviously going through a hard time. So he sent me his story to kind of listen to it. And I was like the first hour of my shift that day. That's what I listened to. So it inspired me to kind of go on and do my own story. So,
Well, thanks for talking
yeah,
to me.
thanks for having me.
Did you know about Andrew's stuff or all of it before you heard the podcast episode?
I didn't know all of it. He had told me a couple things because I just recently started going through some stuff. So, and he was an ear to talk to. He listened to a lot of my stuff. He told me a little bit about his stuff, but when I heard his podcast, it explained everything. So,
And so what's your connection to suicide?
I think I've been attempting since I was about 12 years old. I started with cutting and then it just kind of progressed within just the last month.
How old are you?
I'm 32.
So for 20 years, when you say attempting, how close are you coming? And we're going to get into some of them with your permission, but.
So, I mean, when I was 12, I was going through some stuff back then too. And I was dating this girl as far as dating goes as a 12-year-old, but she's the one that kind of introduced me to cutting. She told me she was cutting. She didn't like give me a blade or anything like that. But, sometimes I wasn't trying to die. I was just doing it because it did relieve that stress and that pain and everything. So, and then as I got older, when I was about 17 is when it started to be like, okay, I'm trying to die this time. And it only got worse from there.
When you're 12, so you're dating a girl, right? Pretty precocious, got to say, in Arizona.
Yep.
You said you were cutting, she introduced it to you and you were dealing in part to deal with the tension or the stress. What was the stress, if you can find the words?
There was a lot of family stuff.
Mm-hmm.
On top of dating this girl in the first place, there was that kind of stress. But I didn't understand fully what depression was back then. She told me she did it. She'd been doing it for a while. I didn't understand why until I started doing it myself. And I was like, you know what? This makes a lot of sense. Unfortunately, it made a lot of sense to me at 12. So,
I mean, I tend to believe that you do things that make sense to you. Like,
yeah,
even if for the other people in the world, you're like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like, but it makes sense.
but it makes sense. Yeah,
I mean, I drink too much. It makes sense to me. I know the cost,
exactly.
but there's a reason, right?
There's a reason for it. Yep.
And then you said at 17, sounds like it got worse, harder.
It got serious when I was 17. Again, there was more some familial stuff going on. A girl is involved. Honestly, a girl is involved in most of my suicide attempts. I always like to think I have a big heart considering all the bad shit I've done in my life, but like it's always got something to do with the girl on top of life itself. When I was 17, I was in a weird situation. I was dating this girl here in Phoenix, but I had to move back to Flagstaff. That's where I'm from. Messed me up. That broke my heart. And then my dad at that time was kind of giving me empty promises. Well, we'll be moving back. We'll be moving back and stuff like that. And I was just not mentally right as a 17-year-old. And again, I didn't fully understand depression the way I do now when I was 17. There was just so much shit going on. I was already taking pills at 17. I was drinking a lot already. I was not eating. I was living off like a Hot Pocket and some raspberry tea a day. I would eat, that would get me through. I was just all over the fucking place at 17. This one night, just me and the girl broke up, and it was a kind of an ugly breakup. So on top of everything else that was going on at that time, I had just had enough. So I did what I always think makes sense, what was right for me. So I cut myself bad. I could have bled out in front of. I was at my aunt's house. It was cold, and I was just sitting outside. I was just sitting there, and I was just cutting in front of the house, and everybody else was asleep. Or so I thought. And then what kind of saved me that night was my cousin. He came downstairs and looking for me, and he found me outside, fucking arms gushing blood and everything. So he takes me upstairs quietly because, like I said, everyone's sleeping. He cleans me up, and then he kind of slapped me because of what I did. He's like, shit happens. This you can't always go to this. And I was like, yeah, whatever. So he did help me. That slap it wasn't quite the slap of reality that I needed, I guess.
Yeah.
But
what would have helped more, if anything?
If my dad was a little more supportive. My mom, obviously very supportive, but she lived in Phoenix at the time. I was living in Flagstaff at the time. My mom's always been very supportive of me. My dad, on the other hand, him and I were more friends than we were like father, son. He let me do whatever I wanted. I was always getting in trouble, but he didn't care enough to guide me or discipline me the way that I probably should have, and then when it came down to it, my arm, I was, sliced open and everything. My mom caught wind of it. We talked on the phone several times about it. She went up to Flag all the way from Phoenix just to take me to the hospital because my dad wouldn't. I showed my dad caught wind of it, obviously, in that house. He asked to look at my arm. So I pull up my jacket and I show him, and he just looks at it, and then he looks back up at me and he just shakes his head and he fucking walks away.
Is that one of the reasons you got all those tattoos?
That's part of it. Yeah. I got one of them that started on this one that says refuse to sink. I got that with my mom in South Dakota over the scars. It didn't completely cover it, but I knew I was going to get covered up eventually.
What does refuse to seek mean?
Refuse to sink, like an anchor. Unfortunately, that tattoo, later on, after it was already said and done, it was brought to my attention that anchors are supposed to sink. So I'm like, okay, so all right.
But it sounds like one of the reasons you reached out is that you are sinking. Not to be dramatic here, but it sounds like you've been sinking.
I have been. These last 6-7 months, I've been sinking pretty bad, and it's only gotten worse.
However you define that. Are you suicidal right now as we talk?
As we speak at this moment, no, but I'll tell you how recent it's been. I just got out of the hospital just this last Saturday, and that was the second time in 1 month. The suicidal tendencies were very, very recent, but as of this moment, no.
So at 17, mom takes you...
She took me to the behavioral health unit in the Flagstaff Medical Center. They didn't take me right away. They didn't have a bed for me that night, so we went and stayed at my Nina's house, my godmother's house, and then she took me the next morning. But at first it was fucking terrifying because they take everything from you. Like they take the strings out of your shorts, anything that you can even remotely close, try to hurt yourself with, they take away. I hadn't been to jail yet, but that's what it felt like at first. The first couple of days were kind of sucked. Yeah.
I like the what we call this in storytelling, a sort of breadcrumb you just dropped. Jail. Hadn't been to jail yet. I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna write that down. Make sure I ask Michael now. That's got to be in some way part of it.
Actually, yeah, kind of.
So how long are you in that? Because I'm very curious about how people, their experiences in these places. I would say more times than not, they're not particularly positive. But I hope I'm wrong. How was yours?
Like I said, the first few days were pretty shitty. I felt so out of place and just so like alone in a way. But as the days go, because we were doing groups, we were just being as productive as possible. There was a foosball table in there, so I played that a lot. Played a lot of Uno Attack. So I did a lot of things in there to keep my mind occupied. So I was in there for like 7 or 9 days.
Okay.
From what I've learned, is that normally it could be 3 to 5 days or 5 to 7 days is the normal daytime. But I think I was there for about 9 days.
They had their concerns, I guess.
Yep, I had to earn a lot of things. I wanted to shave, so I had to earn that. And they let me, but they watched me like a fucking hawk. They let me walk outside of the building, supervised. Obviously, they let me walk out, get fresh air. This was around December time, I believe, so it was nice and cold outside. Flag,
I would say Flagstaff, but people around, like the cool people, local, say flag.
flag, yeah.
So this thing you mentioned about your hospital stay, it's almost like we're giving you a treat by letting you outside. And I don't know you that well. In fact, I don't know you at all, but kind of think nature is usually a healing thing.
Nature has been nice, especially recently with everything that's going on currently. I just sit outside. I spend a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my time outside. I have a book to read now.
Nice.
Getting back into that. So I spend a lot of time outside. I go for walks. Something about the nature. I've never been like an outside type of person. I never really liked to camp back then. I do now, but I was never really much of an outside person. I was always in my room listening to
Mm-hmm.
music, doing whatever, but nature
Mm-hmm.
does help. It does make you feel a little better.
Nature helps. What book are you reading right now?
Christine, Stephen King.
Oh, okay. Nice. That's probably a big one.
Yeah,
So you get through, you finish high school?
I did.
Okay. And moving into what do you do? What happens after high school in your life?
Kind of a blur. I didn't have any plans to go to college or anything like that. I graduated in Flagstaff and I just partied a lot. I graduated a little late again, back to the jail thing. I went to jail before I graduated high school.
For what?
Possession,
Of?
weed. Yeah, the school I was going to was an alternative high school. We called it the criminal school because that's where all the dropouts went, the teenagers that were on probation. My reason for going to that school in particular was I had been to, at this point, about 5 or 6 high schools. So a bunch of my credits were lost. Had I stayed at the regular high school, I wouldn't have graduated until I was 21. I didn't want to
Yeah.
graduate that late. I just wanted to graduate kind of on time. So I
Yeah.
technically had to drop out of my regular high school and then go enroll myself in that alternative high school. So that's what I did. This school in particular, we were allowed smoke breaks. So of course, all of us were going to smoke our cigarettes and shit, and then we're gonna smoke weed without trying to get caught. Some kid ratted me out. A kid I used to smoke out a lot ratted me out, and then next thing you know, the cops are in there. They arrest us both.
What was worse, the unit or jail?
Jail, 100%,
Fair.
100%.
Not a place you want to go.
No, I don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it.
Stay in school. Don't do drugs.
All the standard stuff you've heard all your life, right?
Exactly.
Why don't we just listen? There's a reason. There's a reason.
It's just a rebellion. It's just simple as that.
After 17, when you were in the psych unit, pit stop in jail, finish high school, I mean, what is it like for you? Because in my experience, or, basically having a lot of conversations, if you try to end your life, some people, it's like, that was a weird little moment. I rebounded. I've been good ever since. I think just as often as like, I was sometimes still suicidal.
My truth about that one is I was probably after that. I was good. At least I felt good because I was on medication. But I think my problem is as soon as I felt good, like as soon as I felt 100%, I stopped taking my meds. Nobody told me that I wasn't supposed to just stop cold turkey. I was like,
really?
I'm good. So I flushed my shit. I was on Prozac from the time I was 17 until I was 21. It did help me for a long time, for a really long time. It helped me for considering all the other shit I went through in my life since 17. It helped me for a good 14, 15 years. All this lately has been very recent.
So in your late teens and 20s, you're okay.
Until about 20. Yeah, I had an apartment with a couple friends from high school. Again, like I said, we were just partying all the time. Like I felt better since 17. So all we did was just work and party. But that's when a lot of like the drugs was happening and the drinking, a lot of it was happening. pills were my thing. And that was my thing from the time I was 17 till 21, 22. Yeah, the painkillers, the muscle relaxers, those were my favorite. So like I was good after 17 and then I'm out of high school, I'm working, I'm making money, I'm partying. And then that's when that shit happened. The drugs.
That sent you down?
Yeah. Because when I was 19, I had a seizure. Again, I still wasn't really taking all that much care of myself. I wasn't eating right or at all for that matter. Drinking a lot of alcohol. I was doing a lot of those pills. I was staying up for days. So at this particular instance, when I had the seizure, I was up for about 3 days partying. On the third day, I went to Circle K, had those big ass cups of coffee, and I was drinking a lot of energy drinks at the time too. And then me and my friends, we all got paid. We all worked together for the most part. We all got paid that day. So we went to the mall, went to inside the Spencer's. Everything was cool. Like I was feeling great. I walk into Spencer's, I go and grab a hat. I grab a poster. I walk up to the counter to pay, and then I just blacked out. I woke up and came to about 5 or 6 times until I was finally in the hospital and woke up for good.
What kind of hospital?
It was just a Flagstaff Medical Center. I passed out in my clothes, and then I woke up in a gown. I didn't know. I don't remember anything. But that was from everything that I was doing at the time. You know, I was partying, but there was, it's like they say, it's like partying the pain away. That pain kind of never goes away, you know? So that's how I was dealing with it at the time instead of being suicidal.
Right. There's a reason.
There's a reason. It makes sense.
So do you stop that level of partying after?
No, not really. As far as the drugs went, I stopped doing that when I was like 21. That stopped. The drinking did not stop. Over time, it did. I always thought being 21, 22, I moved back to Phoenix when I was 21 after another horrible relationship. I didn't try to kill myself for that relationship. That shit needed to end. The drinking just really never stopped. I moved back here to Phoenix with my family. Again, after a brutal relationship ended, I was fucked up about it. Drinking kept going. And then I ended up meeting who is now about to be my ex-wife at a party.
You still want to be with her?
At this point, I honestly don't think I do because my last stay in the hospital just last week, I really sat in there and listened to everybody that was talking to me. I'd call my mom, I'd call my sister-in-law, shit they've been saying already for how long. But I finally was like, I do need to accept things. And the one thing that I did accept while I was in there this last time was that we're just not going to get back together. It fucking broke my heart. I was just, I was a fucking, still kind of am. But since I got out, I feel a lot better. But so to answer your question, at this point, no, I don't want to be with her again. I just want to be able to be friends and we have kids together too. So I want a healthy co-parenting relationship. That's all I want.
Yeah, man. Sure. So in your 20s, for most of your 20s, you're with her. Are you suicidal ever during that time?
I attempted once.
How old were you?
I was about 26.
What was going on then?
But it was all, again, like I said, it always involves a girl, but it involved her. We were going through our own personal shit. She thought I was cheating on her. I was not. I was very distant from her. And I had like no problem showing it. So she wasn't being treated or loved the way that she should have been. It just caused a lot of problems in our relationship. She ended up leaving me. She left me and she took the kids and they went to Payson for about 2 weeks. Well, it was supposed to be a 2 or 3 day stay. I was fucking devastated because she left, took the kids and everything. So in our house, we had a house at the time. I'm fucking just broken, shattered. So I start again drinking heavily. I cut my wrists really badly. And I called a friend because I was just telling her, what's going on and everything. And she came right to me. I'm sitting there at my table. I'm smoking a cigarette inside. I'm drinking. I'm just sitting there and my arm's just gushing blood. So she comes inside. Again, it's always somebody there to help clean me up one way or another. She came and she helped me and cleaned me up and then just put me to bed, laid me down so I could go to sleep. She stayed there until I woke up the next morning.
Did she smack you?
This time around, I didn't get smacked. Yeah.
You didn't get smacked. He's the passive voice. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think you would have died if no one came around?
Probably. I got very close at least. Because I would have kept going. I wouldn't have stopped.
That'd be a tough way to die.
Yeah. You honestly could have. I've been close. 17, I was close. 26, I was very close. Scary, really.
So your wife, I imagine it sounds like your wife and what do you have, 2 kids?
We have 3.
3 kids. They came back?
Yeah. At the time, we only had 2, our son and our daughter. But my son, he's not biologically mine. When I met her, I met him when he was 2. And I just been in his life ever since. Him and I are still really close. He still calls me dad, considering everything that's going on. We were apart for those 2 weeks. And then I went to Payson because she was camping. She camped the entire time with a neighbor of ours. They went up to Payson. They just camped for 2 weeks. And that's what our son, it was around his birthday. And he wanted to go camping. So they just kind of put two and two together. So I ended up going up to Payson to be there for his birthday. And the whole time we're there, we're separated. We weren't married at this time. I gotta say, we were just dating. We were together, but not married at this time. So I get there to Payson and we're still not together. And I'm hearing things like she's trying to move there. And shit just kept sending me spiraling at this point. But I got to go hang out with my son and see her. And towards the end of my stay there, we rekindled, we made up, and everything was fine. Mm-hmm. It got better between us after that. As we speak, we are separated. We are about to go through a divorce. Yes. We've only been married for, at this point, 7 months, technically. We were only married for 6 months when she told me that we need to get a divorce.
Oh, it was her.
It was her.
You live alone?
Currently, I'm staying with my mom, but I am moving into my own place on this upcoming Monday. So I will be living alone, yeah.
That was one of, if not, maybe it sounds like the major spark to, I believe you said 2 attempts in 1 month.
Yep.
When was the first one? About how long ago?
I went to the hospital on March 16th.
How did you try?
I cut again, and then this time I tried to hang myself. I went to that extent because, we were just going through so much shit. And that's the thing about this depression is like, we got married 6 months before. It's all good and everything at first, but then like I was already kind of getting depressed again before the wedding. It started to get worse and worse and worse. And I just felt like she wasn't supporting me mentally that way. Mm-hmm. She's a very kind of like a socially awkward person, even to me, all these years. Like she's not a person you would go to talk. She's not there emotionally supportive. So, the whole time I'm thinking she's cheating on me and she just doesn't love me anymore. And it just kept getting worse and worse and worse over the last 6 months. I'm trying to figure out ways to cope. I was already thinking about going back to therapy. I was thinking about getting back on my meds. I was trying to do all the right things and find help. By the time I found the help, it was too late. She was already too far gone. And I would come to her with all these ideas of how we could like make it work, how we could, rebuild ourselves and try to, stay together and work together. And she'd always be like, yeah, okay, cool. We can do that. And then we'd fight again and shit would just backtrack. And the last time before she left me for good, I had more ideas about how we could try to be okay and everything. And she was okay with it. And then the next day she comes home from an appointment. I could just see the look on her face. I could just see it already. So I asked her, I was like, are you okay? She's like, yeah. Distant as fuck. She said that she has doubts. And I was like, oh my God, I don't like where this is going. That's when she's like, I think we just need to go our separate ways. I'm sitting here at this point about to fucking beg. I don't like to beg, but I was literally about to drop to my knees and be like, please don't do this. And she was on her way to work at this point. She was getting ready to leave the house. And this is a Saturday. I always helped her put her, she's a hairstylist. So I always try to help her put her stuff in her car for her. So I walk out with her and everything and we're over. We're done at this point. But I tell her, I was like, when you get home, we'll talk to the kids and we'll do what we got to do. At this point, I'm like maintaining. But the second she leaves, I go back inside. I start packing up my shit. I lose control because one of the first things I found on my side of the bed was a pocket. It was a knife. I just fell apart right there on my floor, on my bedroom floor. I'm just crying like, no, this can't be happening and everything like that. So then I got the knife. I started cutting and then I called my best friend. Before he got there, my arm was already cut. After we got off the phone, that's when I go and get the electrical cord. I try to do this with an electrical cord, extension cord, hanging from the stairs that were in our backyard. I kicked the chair. I was hanging for a minute. Obviously, getting choked is not fun. It fucking hurts, but I kicked the chair. I was up there for a good couple minutes. And then I just decided to fucking pull myself out of it. So I did.
That's not easy to do though, right?
No, it's not. No, it's not.
And you could have easily wanted to do that and been unsuccessful.
Yeah. Yeah, it was hard. I wanted to stop after it started, but like it was hard. And I was like, okay, this is really it. This is really fucking happening.
You put yourself up, but like obviously all the stuff in your life going on is still there. So like, is that weird?
It is. It is very weird. I ended up going to the hospital that night because after I tried to hang myself, my friend got there. He just walks outside where I am at smoking a cigarette. My arm is bleeding. He just hugs me and I'm crying like a little fucking girl. And he just hugs me. This is my best friend. We've been friends for, probably about like 10 years going. My best friend, like a brother, probably the most loyal friend I've ever had in my life. But he comes outside and he gives me a hug. He's just like, let it go. Just let it out. And I did. I did. And I did feel a little better, but obviously it wasn't enough. But then I had another friend that was sleeping in a spare room at this time. All of this is happening. I have a friend sleeping in a spare room. So then he finally wakes up, he comes outside and sees what's going on. He looks at my arm, and this is what's fucked up. This friend in particular, I'm not going to say his name, but this friend in particular, he's one of those people that uses like failure as a motivation, kind of makes you do better. You know what I mean? So he's one of those people. So just by the way that he said what he said, he's like, he looks at my arm and he goes, "Oh, that's not that bad. You know, you just can't be doing that." That's what he told me. So something in my head about what he said and how he said it, I took it as a fucking challenge. I go inside, I go upstairs very nonchalantly. Like no one's watching me, no one's hovering over me at this point, you know, but I go upstairs, I grab a kitchen knife, a bigger one, and then I go down to our spare bathroom, lock myself inside, and I cut myself some more, deeper, bleeding a lot more. But again, I took it as a challenge, but I also wanted to die still. I was trying to do anything and everything I possibly could. I went around looking for pills. I went and looked in all the medicine cabinets. I looked at everything. I was looking for pills. I was going to do that too. I was looking for every way out.
The day before you learned that your soon-to-be ex-wife wanted to leave, you weren't suicidal.
No, because I had hope. I was thinking, you know, I was still like very much depressed, but I was trying to work through it.
Yeah.
And at that moment, the only way I thought I could work through it was with her, because 11 years, you know, we're married. I love her, and I thought she loved me. She says she does, but so yeah, no, the day before, no, I thought we were good. I felt great. The next day, absolutely fucking not.
Do you go to a hospital?
I did go to the hospital. Yep. My parents ended up showing up at the house. I was locked in the bathroom. My stepdad, he was knocking on the door. He's like, "You need to open this door." So I unlock it, and I'm leaning against the door. So I unlock it. I open the door, blood on the floor. I'm just sitting there. I was just done. I didn't like faint because of the loss of blood or anything, but I just didn't want to move. I go sit on the stairs because the stairs was right there next to that spare bathroom, and the ambulance is already on the way. And everybody's on the phone calling who they need to call and everything. So yeah, then the ambulance picked me up and took me to the hospital.
How long did you stay?
It was about 4 or 5 days that time. Again, it was another behavioral health unit.
Was it decent?
This one was like a little more gloomy. I don't know what it was about it, but it could have been because the first unit that I was in when I was 17, it was an adolescent one. So it seemed a little more joyful as far as joy could go in a place like that. This time I was in an adult one. I couldn't smoke still. Again, it was like deja vu because they took all my shit away, all my strings, whatever. But it's just something about it was very gloomy. So it took me a lot longer to be okay with being in there and trying to get better this time around.
And that was recent.
Yeah, last month.
How many days go by before you try again after you get out of the hospital?
About 28, 29 days probably.
So when did you last try to end your life?
Last Monday.
You think some people might be hearing this and say, like, "Sean, this is too fucking soon. You shouldn't be talking to this guy."
You know, I'm in a good place mentally at this moment to where I'm okay talking about it. Sometimes it feels good to tell a complete stranger.
Yeah.
It's like speaking to a third party. They don't know you.
Yeah.
That's what I loved about my dog. I can talk to my dog all I want. She's not going to judge me.
You mentioned that your wife wasn't necessarily the best communicator. But you also mentioned you have a couple close friends. So the question I have is, and this could be like dating back some years too, but like how many people did or do you have in your life where you could talk about anything without fear of, fill in the blank?
Going back over all these years, I had a friend since I was about 10 years old. We are no longer friends right now. And again, that was something that had something to do with me and how my depression and what I was going through at the time. It's something that I felt like I needed to end. Probably shouldn't have because he was a really good friend of mine, but I think we just grew apart. So we had to go our separate ways. So he was there for a lot for me. I have my best friend I was just talking about. He's literally like a brother. I already have 2 brothers. He's my best friend. He's the most loyal. He's done and has done everything for me still to this day. He helps me out a lot. Still do, technically speaking, but her and I have a mutual friend. She was somebody that I could talk to. I love her to death. She's like a sister to me also, but and she was a good communicator. Like she would listen and she would talk to me and try to talk me through it and everything. But she was also best friends with my wife. I could trust her to where she's not going to tell her anything unless it was life threatening, Recently, because of all this that's been happening recently, I talked to her but she doesn't check on me. Like she says she's worried about me constantly, but she doesn't check on me. A lot of the friends that I've had all these years know about what I've gone through and what I've done and everything like that. I haven't heard from any of them, partly because I got rid of my Facebook, but most of them have my number.
Really?
Unless I reached out to them first. I was like, hey, this is what's going on. They'd be like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you're okay.
Hmm.
But I'm sure on Facebook and social media, it's no secret that her and I are apart. No one's reaching out to me. So
What did you do last Monday to try to end your life?
I swallowed a bunch of my anxiety medication, went to a bar and started drinking very heavily.
Bartender, no?
No, nope. I called my best friend again. Yeah, I always seem to call somebody. It's like I want to be found. It's like I want to be saved. But at the same time, I don't. I didn't. So yeah, I did not tell the bartender that I took a whole bunch of pills. I was crying at the time, so I'm sure she kind of figured something was going on. But
How does the night end at the bar or wherever it was?
I take these pills, swallow a whole bunch of them, go inside, and I start drinking really heavily. Have that Life 360 app. My mom has me on it so she can, she doesn't like constantly watch me, see where I'm going. She lets me do whatever I do. But in case something like this happens, she knows where I'm at. So I'm sitting at the bar and I see that she left the house. Right then I knew that she was coming to get me. She was coming to find me because I was telling my friend, word got out again. So I see that my mom's coming, got in like panic mode, escape mode. So I went outside, I locked my phone in my truck and I just fucking wandered off. I didn't want to be found. So I went everywhere and anywhere to not be found. With all these pills and all this alcohol in my system.
Walking around Phoenix.
I didn't get very far. I stopped in some random ass apartment complex and I just sat there dehydrated as fuck. I didn't have anything to drink with all this alcohol in me and all these pills in me. I figured I was just going to fucking die of dehydration on top of everything else. So figured one way or another it was going to happen.
I bet your mom shows up.
Not at that moment. I get back up and I start walking back to the bar because I remember my card was in there. So I'm like, fuck. And I'm kind of hoping to dodge everybody. I didn't think I knew they were going to show up, probably leave and try to go find me. So I was trying to find that window to go inside, probably grab another drink real quick and then grab my card and then leave again. That did not happen. I was walking back up and then my best friend, he comes around the corner. He's got phone in hand. He's like, then he turns around to my mom and he's like, Mom, I found him. And then they both came over. I walk into the bar. My mom comes with me. I walk into the bar. I grab my card. I close my tab. Coming back outside and the cops are already there. So my mom called the cops. And then so they're talking to me. They're asking me all the questions that they have to ask, whatever. Told them what I did. So then that's when they were like, okay, we're going to call an ambulance. So the ambulance showed up, fire truck, whatever. Hooking me up to an EKG machine because of the pills that I took. They're monitoring me right there on the spot in the parking lot of this bar. They poked my finger for a blood sugar test or whatever. And my finger just starts gushing blood because my blood is so thin from the pills that I took. Never done that. It was wild. So that's where they came to determination that, again, I have to go to the hospital. And they even asked me, he's like, do you think you need to go to the hospital? I was like, nope, I don't want to fucking go. I told them flat out, like, I do not want to go. I had no plans on going. But because of what I did, like protocol, I had to go. So yeah, I tried to OD and drink and do whatever that I could possibly think of again.
You went back to the same hospital?
At first, yes, but then they moved me to a different one at like 4:30 in the morning that next morning. So that was fun.
Is that also gloomy?
This one, yes, it was a lot bigger, which was cool. But other than that, it was still pretty gloomy because there was crazy ass people in there.
I know that you said you're feeling decent now in that you're not feeling suicidal. Let's say since last Monday in the hospital, post-hospital, did you have any thoughts like, I wish one of those attempts had worked?
Oh, yeah. Several times.
So it wasn't just this like moment. It was a moment and then like, don't want to be here.
Yep. In the hospital this last time, my mom came to see me after they, the ambulance took me and did everything they had to do. She came in to see me. And I think I was feeling the pills a little bit. I don't really, there was a lot, I think, so I was starting to feel a little loopy in a type of way as far as anxiety meds go. But I'm just laying there on the hospital bed. My mom's sitting right there next to me. And I'm just telling her, I'm flat out telling her, if I had a gun, this would have been done long time ago. And, I'm telling her I should have kept my fucking mouth shut because these pills would have sat, the alcohol and everything would have worked out just fine. So I was telling her flat out, I wanted to die. I did not want to be there anymore.
It must be interesting for a mom to hear,
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean,
my mom's a champ. She's, an easy crier, but she was staying strong for the both of us, if not everybody else that's involved at that moment. When I was in the hospital this last time around, I sat there, reflected, and I was talking with my mom and everybody, just coming to terms with what's going on in my life right now. The divorce, just everything that's going on in my life right now. I had to sit there and I think, like, you're 32 years old. you obviously can't die. Just gotta get your shit together, basically. And I have, that the kids too. Biggest picture here is like I have to be strong for them, and I just haven't been a very attentive or strong father lately because this shit has been fucking me up so bad. So I did come to terms with a few things. Like I said earlier, wife and I are definitely not getting back together. That was one of the hardest things to come to terms with and accept. Since then, I've accepted it a lot more. So I feel really positive. I came out really positive. I'm like cracking jokes. I'm like on the outside, I'm almost my old self again. Meanwhile, inside, I'm fucking dying. But I'm trying to be a little more optimistic about it.
When's your birthday?
October 29th.
You gonna make it to 33?
I fucking hope so. As if I keep this momentum right now, I will. Things are really looking up for me in just such a short amount of time. I got approved for an apartment. That was really cool because I've never truly lived on my own and paid my own bills. Like I paid bills, obviously, but I've never had to pay my own bills for everything. I'll be on my own. So, I mean, that's a big step for me. Having that type of independence will make me feel a lot better, a lot more confident in myself because I have none. It's all the tattoos and the plugs and the, everything. Like that's my confidence. But other than that, I have none in myself. I have a really good job. So the money is great. So like I have good things going. I just meanwhile falling apart.
Yeah. What kind of work?
I won't say where, but I work with Andrew.
Right. And he said it publicly, so it's something he said in like aerospace or something like that.
Yes, aerospace.
Andrew's probably listening. What's up, Andrew? Your episode came out recently, at least as I speak with Michael here in mid to late April. So another guy, tatted up, similar age. His thing is interesting because he was essentially saved by God.
Yes. Yeah.
That's not your story.
That is not my story. I have a weird thing about religion. I've always kind of looked at it as like, I can pray, I can talk to God, I can believe, but is he really going to help me in the way that I need to be helped? And that could mean anything, like the suicidal tendencies, this guy's not going to help me pay my bills, basically. And people are praying like for financial relief or whatever the fuck they pray for. It just wasn't for me. Never really has been, I grew up when I was younger, Catholic by default, just because the rest of the family was default. But recently, though, I did go to church for my cousin because she just got baptized. I had the pleasure of being there for that. And I was, again, I'm not about the religion thing, but like the way I saw everybody react to it, it was like a marriage almost. Like they were congratulating her and everything. So like, and she had just recently got back into religion, and she was talking to me about everything that's going on. And she's like, you know what? I know this isn't you, but maybe you should try church. I've been thinking about it. I went for her baptism. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. So
Andrew, you are listening. And when Michael said that about maybe going back to church, you had a little smile on your face, didn't you, Andrew? You did.
Sure you did. I can see it right now.
It makes sense for him. It makes sense. Whatever it is, you do you, he does him.
Yeah, Andrew's been a really great friend to me with all this stuff. I've only known him for about 7 months, but he's been supportive with me since day one.
Awesome.
First thing he said to me in person, he comes up to me and I'm working. He comes up to me and he goes, I'm going to assume you're a metalhead. I was like, yep. And then we just we clicked instantly, so we've been cool ever since.
Nice.
Hung out a few times after work and everything. So yeah, he's a really cool dude. The day I emailed you was the day he sent me his story.
Well, why did he send it to you?
Because I was having a few days before, I was having a really hard day. I wasn't able to it was hard to control my emotions or handle my emotions, and he was there. So he sent it to me at like 3, 4. We worked so early in the morning. He said, I woke up at 3 and he had already sent it to me. And so like, all right, cool. I thought it was like a song or something that he wanted me to listen to. So I get to work and I look at it and I'm like, oh, wow, this is a podcast about him, for him. So I spent the whole like first hour or so, however long the episode was, just listening to it while I'm working. It was, I thanked him for sharing it with me. So it was in a way liberating. Sometimes when I'm going through this shit, I always seem to forget that I'm not the only one going through this shit. Other people are probably far more depressed than I am, more anxious than I am. But it's always that in the moment time for me. It's like, it's happening to me and I really wish it fucking wasn't, but it's happening to me. And I feel alone and like I'm the only one that it's happening to.
For sure.
For Andrew to share his story with me like that, just to kind of get me to feel better, at least. I'm sure that was his goal, but he sent it to me. Yeah, it was nice. The story was a little chilling. I didn't know all that.
We don't know most of some of the stuff about even people that are close to us sometimes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's wild. Yeah.
Do you wear sunglasses all the time?
I do. It's kind of my thing.
Everyone's got a thing, Michael.
It's kind of my thing. The plugs was always my thing. Tattoos was always my thing. But I'm like hide from that 70s show. Wears his sunglasses all the time. Or my
Right.
sunglasses at night type of person. Yeah, that's me.
I know you've been going through a hard time. Things are getting a little better, but why do you want to have other humans who you will likely never meet hear this discussion?
I'm just kind of hoping that something I say that has helped me will help somebody else. Like I said, I have all these friends and everything. I like to think I have all these friends, and they're supportive at the moment. But no one's checking on me. Like my mom, obviously, but like my friends, of course, they're not checking on me. I have one other friend who's actually an old client of mine. I'm a tattoo artist too. I tattooed her and her husband. She stayed in touch. Really cool lady, but she was the one that would constantly check on me. But out of my friends that I've had for years, not a single one. So I'm just kind of hoping that whatever I have to say just kind of reaches somebody, kind of touches somebody. Because I wanted help. A lot of people sometimes they don't want the help. They just want to die and be done with it. I wanted to die and be done with it, but at the same time, I wanted help.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times I was refusing to get help. A lot of the times I was looking for it, crying out for it. But I'm just hoping that if someone's feeling as bad as I have the last 6 or 7 months, that they do something about it and get help, because it's something I've been hearing all the time is like, you are valuable, everything like that. I refuse to believe that just because I never valued myself. I've hated myself for so fucking long. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
to see any value in myself. But because of all these things that are happening, good things that are happening to me lately, like the job, the apartment, the optimism, that type of stuff, it makes me feel better and makes me kind of see a little bit of that value. So if I can see a little value in the darkness that I'm in, so can they. And I just want them to know that. Like, please get help. Please reach out to somebody.
Well, it's just so interesting that your lights are cutting in and off. And when you were talking about the darkness, you went dark.
Weird, huh? I know.
What I see right now, you're like almost like you have no light. I think Andrew and his God are fucking with us right now. I really do.
They got to be. I'm going to fucking talk to him about that tomorrow.
Talk to Andrew about what games he's playing right now. In an interesting transition here, because you were just sharing about feeling valued, optimism, but there's a question I ask all the time, and it is the pink and purple pill question. The color doesn't really matter, but the point of the question is I give you a pill. This pill, if you take it, you go to sleep, die, and there's absolutely no pain. It 100% works. And if you'd like, we can set this pill so that nobody knows it's a suicide. It's just Michael, only 32
Passed away.
people, passed away in his sleep. It happens sometimes. What would you do with that pill?
That's a really good ass question.
Thanks.
Considering how good I feel right now, we're just in the beginning stages of this divorce. I'm hoping it's the best. I hope that we can be cordial and civil through the whole thing and it not be ugly. I deep down have a feeling that it's going to be ugly, and there's things that I don't know, that I don't want to know, that I'm probably going to find out eventually, and it's going to trigger me. That's what happened on Monday. I found out something. It rubbed me wrong. It triggered me really, really, really bad. And that's why I did what I did on Monday. And I'm just honestly overall tired of feeling like that, tired of feeling that pain. So honestly, I would take that pill and just go.
Oh, that's a curveball I wasn't expecting. Okay.
I would, and like I said, as good as I feel now, it's just been fucking heavy. I don't know when it's going to end, if it's going to end. You can't predict the future, but like I'm just over the pain and the everything that it comes with. I'm over. I'm done.
I'm not married. I don't have kids. So I feel like when you add that to the mix, and particularly the kids and the unknown, that I just think is for a lot of people, I don't know the words I'm looking for here, but kind of a game changer.
The people that do have kids that end up succeeding in their suicide attempt, that's some balls, because I have the kids. It'd be terrible for them to know that I passed away, if it was intentional or not. Lately, with everything that's been happening, I've learned a lot. My dad is a big part of why I am the way that I am. Mm-hmm. Him and I were really close for a long time. We haven't talked in almost 10 years because of some other bullshit that happened. But as the years went by, I found out a lot of things about my dad, and a lot of those characteristics, a lot of the things that he's done, he said that simple characteristics, simple as music loving, driving a certain way. Just like me and my dad were just too much alike. And back then it was cool because I loved my dad. But as an adult, I'm realizing that we are similar in other bad ways too. And through all this, I have to say too, I have to say this. Through all this stuff, I don't mean to be a victim. I'm not a victim here because a lot of this was my fault because of how it was. But I mean, and in the past, I've lied, I've cheated, I've stolen, I've done all that shit too. I'm no saint here. And my point for saying that also is my dad, cheater, lied, stealing, everybody. A lot of my issues, and it's been pointed out to me by his brother, that a lot of my issues stem from my dad. And that's fucking scary. It's terrifying because I don't want to be anything like that, man. I really don't. And so the thought process I had while I was suicidal and with the kids and everything was I would be breaking a cycle if I died.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it would suck, but at least the kids wouldn't have to grow up to see me being this way or learn about all my indiscretions. They would learn about it, but they wouldn't like hate me for it in a way. So in a way, I was looking at it as breaking a cycle. So of course, it's terrible leaving my kids like that, but at the same time, it's just better off type of situation, So that's what I was thinking. I was doing it in a way for them and for everybody else, and as well as myself.
But if you did succeed in doing that, do you think you go up, down, or nowhere?
I would definitely go to hell if I was much of a believer in all that stuff. I would definitely go to hell.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've done so many bad things.
What's the worst thing you've done?
I don't know. Cheating is one I'm very open to talk about, but I'm very ashamed of myself. So that, and then my behavior during my wife's pregnancy with our youngest daughter. I was the most selfish person ever. And I'm not normally a selfish person. During that 9 months, it was I was a living hell to her. I treated her like shit. I'm not a physical, harmful person. I never hit her or anything like that, but I just was not nice. I treated her like shit because I'm going to be truly honest. We didn't want that baby. Her and I both didn't want that baby. And because of that, our relationship was in a bad place for that 9 months. She thought I was going to leave. I told her honestly, she asked me, she's like, are you going to leave once this baby's born? And I answered her honestly. I was like, if I was going to leave, I would have left already. I was not nice. I was cold to her that entire time. And my daughter, that baby, she was born and I fell in love with her right away. And that just kind of changed everything. So she's got, every kid has a certain connection with their parents. I have a connection with my son. I have a connection with my middle daughter. And then I have a certain connection with my youngest. Hers is because it fucking kills me every single day that I didn't want her. And she is the most sweetest, savage baby ever. She's 3. She's going to be 4 this year, but she's the cutest fucking thing ever. And sometimes I look at her and I feel this guilt because of how I treated her mother. That's something I have to live with every single day of my life. Never going to go away. I'll be open about I have a drinking problem. I have a really bad drinking problem. Think about that stuff and it just makes it worse. And that's again, like I said, since I was 12, that's always my go-to. Sorrow. I drown my sorrows with alcohol. So I would definitely go to hell to answer that question.
All right. Appreciate your honesty about that. Do you think, does anyone know we're talking?
I told Andrew about it.
Right.
My mom knows.
Do you think you'll share it with someone like Andrew shared this with you?
Yeah. My focus on my Instagram is for mental health awareness. I want to make I know there's probably hundreds of movements for suicide and mental health awareness and everything, but I would like to be a part of it. I want to be a huge advocate for it. Thinking about just posting my story in my bio so people, if they want to hear it, they can listen to it. For somebody that I know that's going through a hard time, that's thinking that way, I would do the same thing Andrew did for me. I would send them my story, like just listen.
That's cool. It doesn't sound like there's a lot of people that know you've attempted any of your attempts.
Not a lot of people do know, no.
Right, but they will.
They will. And I'm open about it if they want to ask. Obviously, I'm talking to you about it, so I have no problem doing it. So,
right. Did you get back on meds?
Oh, yeah. Last month, I got put back on them after that attempt. And then after this most recent attempt, they added one more. And I actually saw my psychiatrist today, and she wants to add another one, but I don't know about that one yet. So, yeah, I am definitely medicated.
And how do you cope? How do you get through the day? I know you share with me music, got a job.
I am a drinker. Unfortunately, that's what I've been doing a lot of lately. I'm really cutting back. I'm really trying to get my fat shit together. But I mean, other than that, I read. I go for walks. Yep. Hang out with my mom. I'm currently living with her at this time. But I just try to stay. I actually learned how to make a rose out of a bandana recently. So I did that. Yeah.
I don't know if you recall this from Andrew's episode. I got a thing for memoir titles, just the titles. That's it. I like to give people options for what their memoir title possibly could be. That what you just said is the closest to the thing I think it might be. Something about a bandana and a rose. A couple other words that popped in my head, just so you know, are anchor, medal, and flag. Spitballing ideas for a possible Michael memoir title.
Thinking about that one. I mean, if I were to think of something or even try to, one of my favorite books that I have read is Nikki Sixx's Heroin Diaries. I always wanted to write a book. So, I mean, actually, I worked in the fast food industry for like 15 years, 16 years. So, and I thought about it this one time. I was going to write a book called The Fast Food Diaries and kind of take my story about everything that I've done and dealt with in the food industry and, you know, give everybody an alias, but I'll be talking about the real story. So there's some wild shit that I've seen. Oh, I got one. So I was an emo kid, scene kid growing up. So I would probably do something along the lines of like the Scene Kid Diaries.
I like it. Myths and misconceptions, particularly around suicide or suicidality, that you want to call bullshit on, if any.
The idea of it being a selfish act, because that's always been brought to my attention, is like you're being selfish and because you're not caring about everybody else around you that this could be hurting and everything like that. I do agree with that. It is a selfish act, but sometimes the way that it's been brought to my attention, sometimes it's one of those things. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So they're literally getting mad at you for being selfish. They're getting mad at you for doing this to yourself. To me, that's just not going to make me feel any better. I'm already fucking down. Why kick me? You know, that's just that's how I look at it. I see it both ways. You know, I don't care. I want to fucking die. This is about me because of how I'm feeling. I'm just fucking over it. I know you're not going to support my decision to die, but at the same time, like, this is just, let me fucking cope. So, you know, I could come out of it. So I you know, the idea of it being a selfish act, I see both ways, not one more than the other.
I want to ask you about physician-assisted suicide. Do you think something like that should be made available to people where if they want to die and if they don't necessarily have a terminal illness, they're not necessarily 98 years old, they're just in pain, and that could be just sort of not just like mental pain, right? And they want to die. You think it should be something where you should be able to do that if you want to? And of course, you know, if you do it that way, kind of like the pink and purple pill in a way, right? It's not risky. You might not put yourself in a hospital permanently. All the stuff, the risks we take. Do you think that kind of thing should be made available to people?
I don't want to say yes and I don't want to say no. I was like picking it apart as you were asking me that question. There are people who will go out of their way. They can go to the unit, the behavioral health. I was in there with the dude that was a kid. Kid was fucking 19. I was in there with a kid who had already been to the behavioral health unit 7 times. You know, there are people who will go out of their way to make it happen. They literally cannot take it anymore. A lot of them don't have a strong support system like some do. So if I were to say yes, I would think a very thorough process. Do they have family? Are they close with their family? Like, does it have to be checked and authorized? That type of shit, you know. But I mean, people deal with this shit for so long, and then they've had enough, and then they go through with it on their own. Yeah. Put a gun to their head. At least they're being helped in a more professional manner. Yeah. I've had like 2 or 3 friends, not like close friends, but I went to high school with them or I grew up with them and we like faded away or whatever. But 2 or 3 of them just last year, at the end of the last year, suicide. Yeah, I never got to understand why. I never got to talk to those friends. And I would look back at like my Facebook messages between these people. And I was like, yeah, and the last time I talked to this person was like 10 years ago. And I look at the last thing we said and I was like, no fucking way. I can't believe that this person actually did that. That's where it doesn't make sense. There's the people that it doesn't make sense and they do it, you know?
But it makes sense to them.
But it made sense to them. That's the scary part. 2 or 3 of my friends like that. It's crazy.
Whether it's a pink and purple pill, which obviously doesn't exist, or whatever happens with you. If one day, whenever that might be, you should decide to take your life. And I was able to ask you a question from wherever the hell you are. You said you'd be in hell. Don't know if that's the case. And I asked you why. Now, you're not in that place, so it might be really tricky to answer. But what might you say?
You know, with that being said, I think back to one of Chester Bennington's interviews. Mm-hmm. He's talking about how his head, it's being up there in his head, it's not a good place. It's a scary place. It's a bad place to be in. And the way that he's talking about it, he's like kind of joking. But that's how it is. You know, them people they're super happy right before they take their life. Yeah. The last photo of Chester Bennington and his family, he was like the happiest family ever. And then the next day he's fucking dead. and the way that Chester explains it all is like perfect because of the noise and all the constant chaos in his head. When that day came for him, he decided enough was enough. That's how I would answer that question. Enough is enough. I can't take the constant noise. I just can't take it anymore.
Mr. Michael in Arizona, what's the rest of your night like?
My mom and my stepdad, they eat dinner really late, so I'm probably gonna eat dinner with them here after this, and then I'm just gonna hang out for the rest of the night, probably read. On times where I don't have anything to do, I just go to the bar because I have too much fucking free time on my hands. So if I can avoid it, I will. If not, that's where I'll be.
What else do you want to add? I never assume I ask all the right questions, so I want to make sure you get to share whatever you want.
No, I mean that's the gist of it for the most part. Pretty much hit every point. I hope this helps people. I've always wanted to help people in one way or another.
Let me close with something that I actually don't know if I've ever said, maybe in some version or iteration, that this helps me. So I really
doing these interviews like this, it helps you.
Yeah, it's more than what people might think. And the point of me saying that is I thank you in part for trusting me. I do, but also it actually helps me. Another human being open about things they've gone through. And sometimes those things are really challenging or hard or difficult or deadly. That is the human fucking experience, as is the other stuff like the rainbows and the children and the popcorn.
And I thank you. And, you said that too, is the way you said that was opening up to a complete stranger. A lot of people who do feel this way don't open up. They keep that shit to themselves. And then they end up being those people that take their lives because they felt like they had no one to talk to. So like I said, third party, sometimes it's helpful to talk to somebody you don't know. It's a fucking roller coaster, I'll tell you that. But I'm trying to go the optimistic route. So
well, kudos to you for trying, bro. Appreciate it.
All right, yeah. Appreciate you.
All right, let's get back to our lives, Michael. Thanks.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Take care.
You too.
As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. And special thanks to Michael in Arizona. Thanks, Michael. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, please reach out. hello@suicidenoted.com. Check out those polls on Spotify. Check out that link if you'd like to help us out with a tax-deductible financial contribution. Of course, you can rate and review the Suicide Noted podcast on Apple and probably some other places as well. We love that kind of support. And that is all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I'll talk to you soon.